kamera. Naendelea. Leveling. Object and use of leveling. The aim of leveling is to determine the relative heights of different objects on or below the surface of the earth, and to determine the undulation of the ground surface. We have the uses of leveling, the purposes of leveling. 1. To prepare a contour map for fixing sites for reservoirs, dams, and to fix the alignment of roads, railways, irrigation canals, and so on. Purpose number 2, to determine the altitude of different important points on a hill, or to know the reduced levels of different points on or below the surface of the earth. Purpose number 3, to prepare a longitudinal section and a cross-section of a project, e.g. for road, railway, irrigation, canal works, in order to determine the volume of the earthwork. Purpose number 4, it is to prepare a layout map, for example for water supply, sanitary or drainage schemes. These are the purposes of leveling. Therefore, we want to define what leveling means. Leveling, it is an art of determining the relative heights of different points on or below the surface of the earth. That is leveling. It deals with measurements in the vertical plane. We have other terms used in leveling. We have level surface, level line, horizontal plane, vertical plane, datum surface or line, reduced level, line of collimation, axis of the telescope, axis of bubble tube, and lastly benchmark. Leveling surface, it is any surface parallel to the mean spheroidal surface of the earth, which is said to be a level surface. It is obviously curved. The water surface of a still lake is also considered to be a level surface. Level line is any line lying on a level surface. It is normal to the plumb line, that is, the direction of the gravity. Next is horizontal plane. Horizontal plane is any plane tangential to the level surface at any point. It is perpendicular to the plumb line, which indicates the direction of gravity. We have horizontal line. It is any line on the horizontal plane. Any line on the horizontal plane. It is straight line tangential to the level line. We have vertical plane. It is any plane passing through the vertical line. Any plane passing through the vertical line. Datum surface or line. It is an imaginary level surface or level line from which the vertical distance of different points, that is above or below this line, are measured. In India, the datum adopted for the Great Trigonometrical Survey, that is GIS, is the mean sea level. Term number 9, reduced level, the RL. The vertical distance of a point above or below the datum line is known as the reduced level. The RL is a point, positive or negative, according to the point above or below the datum. Another one we have the line of collimation. It is an imaginary line passing through the intersection of the crosshairs at the diaphragm and the optical center of the object glass and its continuation. It is also known as the line of sight. The line of collimation is also known as the line of sight. Another one, we have the axis of the telescope. It is an imaginary line passing through the optical center of the object glass and the optical center of the eyepiece. It passes through the center of the object glass and the optical center of the eyepiece, that is the axis of the telescope. Another one, we have the axis of the bubble tube. Axis of the bubble tube is an imaginary line tangential to the longitudinal curve of the bubble tube at its middle point. This one is an imaginary line tangential to the longitudinal curve of the bubble tube at its middle point. And lastly, we have benchmarks. Benchmarks are fixed points or marks of non-relative reduced level determined with reference to the datum line. They are fixed points or marks of non-reduced level determined with reference to the datum line. They are important marks. They serve as reference points for finding the reduced level of new points or for conducting leveling operation in objects involving roads, railways, highways. That is it. Benchmarks may be of 4 types. We have type A, the GTS. We have the permanent benchmarks. We have temporary benchmarks. And lastly, arbitrary benchmarks. GTS benchmarks are established by the Survey of India Department at large intervals all over the country. The values of reduced levels, the relevant positions and the number of benchmarks are given in a catalogue published by this department. This one is just given by the Survey of India Department at large. Type number 2 of benchmarks is the permanent benchmarks. These are fixed points or marks established by different government departments like PWG, railways, irrigations. The reduced levels of these points are determined with reference to the GTS benchmark and are kept on permanent points like plinth of a building, parapet of a bridge or culvert, and so on. Sometimes they are kept on underground pillars known as parallax.